guys, and welcome to the first session of the Blue Devils cooking show. The first thing that we are going to go over today in our session are the 5 rules for successful cooking. And when we are doing this, we are going to be doing like an overview of things that I personally have found from just my experience, things that will help you, that help me to have a better time in the kitchen, and that will make things more enjoyable, and that will help you in finding your way around in the kitchen. So stay tuned for all of the things 5 rules for successful cooking.
Number 1, follow food safety guidelines.
Okay, so the first rule, as we said, was to follow food safety guidelines. And we will be doing that through using the ServSafe curriculum. And in that, it's broken down into 4 sections, which you will be learning about. And these are very important before you even start into working in the food lab. So we'll make sure that we go over those. First of all, we will be working on good personal hygiene. Secondly, we'll be working on controlling time and temperature of foods. Third thing is preventing cross-contamination. And then the 4th thing that we'll be working on is to have cleaning and sanitizing in place to make sure that we keep pathogens down. So like I said, you'll be learning more about that first part of class when we talk about food safety. So that is the first thing.
Number 2, be careful with appliances and utensils.
Okay, next we, as we said, we're talking about making sure that you are using appropriate safety around appliances and utensils that are used in the kitchen. And I have found that the 2 most dangerous things that we have in the kitchen that we use and we have to be very careful of and show great respect for is the knife right here, and then also in the kitchens is your stove and your oven, which is your range. Okay, so those are very important that you pay attention to what's going on when you are using those things. Now, we will have separate sessions on knife cutting skills and how to use a knife appropriately when we talk about food lab expectations and procedures. We'll talk about can openers and vegetable peelers, which can also cause some issue because anything sharp can. And I will be showing you how to use them also in subsequent demonstrations. So sharp things such as knives, very careful with. Another thing is your range, such as keeping handles to the inside, making sure that you stay with your stove or whatever you're doing and not leaving it, to always keep an eye on it. So that is the second way of being successful in the kitchen, is to please pay attention when using those utensils and appliances. Remember, the 2 most dangerous ones could be, if not used appropriately, sharp things such as knives, and also the ranges when you're dealing with the ovens and the stoves, using pot holders, those kind of things, which we'll talk about. Okay.
Number 3, mise en place. Everything has its place.
So the 3rd thing, as the video said, was mise en place. And what that means in French, it's a French term, and it means everything has its place, okay? whether you're in your home kitchen or in my food lab, because I have spent a lot of time putting things where they go so that you will be it will be easy for you to access anything that you need in the food lab. Each of you will go through the food lab. You'll have a sheet to fill out that will let you know where everything is. And I will also do a session on food lab placement as well. So the first part of mise en place for me is making sure that things have its own place in the food lab or in the kitchen where you are preparing your items. The next thing that mise en place means to me is that before you start reading a recipe, that you have everything set out that you need in order to prepare it. You do not start cooking anything until you make sure that you have your ingredients that you need and you have all of the supplies, all of the measuring items, and everything that you need in order to prepare. So I have my recipe. I've already gone over this, and I see that I'm going to need measuring cups. So I have my liquid measuring cup, and I have my dry measuring cups that I will need. I need measuring spoons. So before I start putting anything together, I make sure that I've got my measuring spoons out. I've got my ingredients that I'm gonna need for this recipe. I've got my flour, I've got sugar, I've got my eggs, my oil, my milk, everything that you need in order to prepare your recipe. That means you need to go ahead and have out.
Number 4, follow the recipe.
So, number 3 goes with number 4. You need to be able to follow a recipe. And it is very important, especially when you're beginning to cook and before you go and do anything in the food lab and before you do anything at home. If you choose to do your labs at home, I will require that you have a recipe and that you know what is on this recipe before you start to prepare things. That's why you have worksheets to do to get you started. So before you even start, you need to know what's on your recipe, and you need to make sure that it is something that you are going to be able to execute. You don't need to go and get things that are complicated. Make sure you have all of your ingredients that you need, and make sure that you can follow the directions and that you know all of the steps before you start preparing it, okay? So, mise en place, you have to know your recipe before you can even get everything that you have up. Actually, on the back of this white mirror right here, it says, follow the recipe. Now, some of us would get busy with doing what we're doing in the kitchen, and then you want to ask, well, what do I do next? And you'll even ask me, what do I do next? Follow the recipe. That is very important.
Number 5, have fun and take some risks.
Last thing, just have fun and take some risks. Try to find new and different things that you've not done before. Now, that does not mean that it needs to be complicated. It does not need to be hard. Maybe it's an ingredient that you've never done before, used before. Or maybe it's just one step that you haven't done before, just to make it challenging for yourself. Just anything to try something new, try something different, but something that you are going to have fun with, okay? The possibilities are limitless when it comes to recipes that you can find and that you can do. And they don't have to be hard. They don't have to be complicated. That's not what I mean by necessarily taking risks. The better you get at following a recipe and the better you get at putting things together and exploring different things, then you can start tweaking and adding and doing your own thing. But it is so important to be able to follow directions, step-by-step processes. It will help you with anything else in your life that you do if you can follow a recipe and go step by step and keep focused on a recipe. Will help you no matter what directions you are following. So, again, my 5 rules for successful cooking. Number 1, please make sure to follow food safety guidelines. Number 2, make sure that you are being very careful with appliances and utensils such as your oven range and your knives and your sharp objects. Number 3, mise en place, which in French means everything has its place. Remember, it's a French word. Everything has its place. In the food lab, you are expected to put everything back where you found it because everything has its place. And also, before you start preparing things, you need to have everything that you need to prepare your item out and organized, okay? And number 4, you need to make sure that you are choosing a recipe that you can follow and that you are reading it and that you understand what you are to do before you start. And number 5, have fun and take some risks. So we will go through each one of these as we go through our session so that you'll have more information about each one, but just wanted to give you that overview, guys. We'll see you later, and we'll be starting soon, so please get all the information down that you can and make sure that you complete the worksheet on everything cooking that I have put on your Google Classroom for you. See you later. Bye.